Dr. Martin Weidman, popular pediatrician for over 40 years, has battled depression and alcoholism. JCFS has supported him during difficult times. Natalia Ben, family arrived in Winnipeg in 2007, knew no one here, and had twins within months of arriving. JCFS helped with childcare and even hosted a bris. Shimon Siegel, birth family, broke down when he was 7, spent years in group homes, and was occasionally homeless. Connected with a warm family, JCFS helped make it official. These are the faces you know, and the stories you don't.
Did I have relapse? I did.
Now we came to a new country. We don't have any relatives here. We didn't speak the English as best and as good as I speak today.
When you spend even one night sleeping in a shelter that you built yourself in Edward Shindelman Park, someone asks you how would you feel if something was your home, you're not really in a position to answer that question in that day.
For 100 years, our community has made it a priority to take care of those among us who need help. Today, Jewish Child and Family Service manages more than 2,000 cases a year, helping people through challenging times. Bereavement, aging, family challenges, poverty, domestic abuse, mental health issues, resettlement, and more. Through a Jewish lens and with a Jewish soul, JCFS touches lives. One of those lives is Dr. Martin Weidman.
First of all, I graduated in medicine a long while ago in 1954. I chose to do pediatrics, went to the United States and England to do postgraduate work. When I was graduated in medicine in 1956, 7, 8, my family doctor gave me some amphetamines to help me lose weight. Well, damn if I didn't abuse them. You know, I take them and then say, gee, I can't go to sleep. The easiest way to go to sleep was to have a drink. It was a very long time ago, 30 years, where I felt that it was not impossible for me to not drink, but it was enormously difficult for me to stop drinking once I started. In other words, I wasn't always saying, oh my God, I need a drink. But if I started over a celebration of some kind, I would get drunk. And this became a pattern, you know, as a medical students drink a lot, I said, I'm just in the same category as those other guys. Of course I wasn't.
In recent years, Dr. Weidman has found comfort in his relationship with his JCFS social worker. She has helped him cope with the loss of his wife and with his personal struggles. Dr. Weidman finds strength through his participation in Jewish alcoholics, chemically dependent persons, and significant others, the JACS Group, supported by JCFS.
The Jewish group is the JACS Group. It's a very interesting group. It's at the campus, and it consists of a group of Jewish people, although non-Jews attend it as well, that discuss issues of an easier intervention for Jewish people who are often especially embarrassed by alcoholism because the tradition is Jews don't drink, which just ain't true.
For Dr. Weidman, a lifelong Winnipegger, JCFS provides vital support and compassion. Natalia Ben is a new Winnipegger, one of 4,000 who have joined our community in recent years. Her story is an example of JCFS's immigration and resettlement work. It's good news that our community is growing, but with growth comes challenges.
I was born in Soviet Union, and I moved to Israel when I was young, and my family came after me. Later on, I built my family in Israel. I lived there for 15 years, graduated from University of Jerusalem, lived in Jerusalem a big amount of time, around 12 years, and as we moved to Winnipeg in 2007.
For Natalia and her family, JCFS was a lifeline. There was initial housing support, food at Passover when money was tight, help in finding doctors, and connections to synagogue and other Jewish organizations. Practical and emotional support for a growing family.
One of the workers, she came to our house and they brought lots of gifts for kids and other things. And they sent me a worker for the first week because it was the Christmas and New Year time. The daycare was closed for their oldest son, and it was a huge support for me to go and give all my attention for newborn twins, and she took care about son. As I said, the circumcision of Jonathan, it was actually done in Jewish Child Family Service itself with all their support. They brought all the food and they decorated the room, and it was amazing. They helped us to bring happiness in this special time of our lives because we didn't have any family to come and celebrate with us, and it was fantastic.
Natalia Ben needed support while she and her husband were building a family. Shimon Siegel needed support while his family was breaking down.
When I was young, about seven years old, I first came into contact with JCFS. I had quite a few different placements with JCFS over the next few years, and had placements that went back to my biological home and then out to different places that weren't home and out to other places that weren't home. After being friends with one of the families, the Siegels, who are now my family and have been since I was 14. Eventually, I met someone who was willing to do something. I met someone who, instead of not being able to give me what I needed, decided to give me everything that I needed and more. When I met the Siegels and they decided to act, they became my permanent family. When I was 14 years old, we made it official, and I went from a time in my life where marks in school and my ability to get along with other people and my ability to communicate were very limited, but my potential was never limited. The Siegels helped me unleash that potential. And Jewish Child and Family was a link in a long chain of events that facilitated someone like the Siegels coming in contact with me and permanently making that arrangement stick.
Shimon connected with Jewish kids who looked past the fact he had moved around more than a dozen times. Caring Jewish families opened their doors and hearts and discovered the real Shimon. Shimon discovered a community that wanted to secure a home for him when he really didn't have one.
When you don't have anywhere to be, you're just kind of constantly in a state of flux. I built shelters to sleep in areas that people would probably be shocked. I didn't want to end up a victim of my surroundings physically. So I would set up in Edward Schindelman Park. I would set up in Swindon Oaks Park. I would sleep in the Assiniboine Forest or in Assiniboine Park.
When the Siegels stepped forward more than a decade ago, Shimon's life changed. Today, he is a successful law student and has worked with the province of Manitoba on youth welfare issues. He's a passionate advocate and remains connected to JCFS.
JCFS's role, in my opinion, is that facilitator of people who are willing to act and are able to act. My parents, the Siegels, they were willing to act. They had been willing to act for a long time, and I think that they didn't have the knowledge at the time to know, what do we do? When they decided they were going to act, JCFS was the place that they turned to say, what do we do next? There were days for years that would go by that someone would say, hey, are we going to your house or are we going to mine? And I had to search in my head for where they might be talking about. Somewhere between 5 and 10 years, I would say, before I started to forget. People started to say things like, oh, do you need a ride home? And I'd go, I know where that is. And I didn't have to think about it. I don't always forget still. But I do remember that this is home.
A successful community takes care of itself. For Winnipeg's Jewish community, JCFS is a vital organization that links people to the services and support they need to live meaningful Jewish lives. Our community is changing, and so are the needs. Your financial support and your volunteer hours will keep JCFS nimble and strong. For your community, for your family, for you.